Hey everyone, it's Smitha. Today I'm really excited because we are going to be doing a video all about Danessa Myricks Beauty. And I have been wanting to do this video for quite some time, but time has gotten away from me. I want to do a couple of spring looks and use mostly Danessa Myricks Beauty products. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, in editing me here, I am making this video at the time that the Sephora sale is going on. So I am going to have all of the products linked in the description box, but if you find my video helpful and you decide to use my links, thank you so much. It really does support my channel. I have received a bunch of the products in PR, but I've been using Danessa Myricks Beauty for years, and I started off as a customer. And of course, all of the thoughts in this video are my own. I gotta say, the thing that really drew me to Danessa Myricks originally was a lot of the colorful products. I felt like, especially for a mainstream brand, there are such a wide variety of beautiful, colorful products that you can't get from other brands. But over time, the past couple of years, they've been incorporating more base products. And I have to say, I've been very pleasantly surprised by how much I've been enjoying these products. So, especially when it comes to oil control, a lot of the products have this ingredient called Upsolite, and for someone like me who has combo oily skin, this is really helpful. And I have certain products that I have been incorporating into my routine, especially recently, every single day. So I'm going to start off with this product here called the Water Powder Serum, and I have used this before. I definitely feel like I need to, combine this with the balm powder because I haven't done that before, and I've heard that you can get an even better result when it comes to oil control by combining the two together. So I'm just going to use this as my skin prep. All right, and I love that even after initial application, this has almost like a soft mattifying effect to the skin, but it doesn't feel drying in any kind of way. I'm going to go in with the Yummy Skin Balm Powder, and I use the shade 5. I have come to really love this product, especially if I apply under foundation in my T-zone. I find that it not only gives me a little bit of coverage, but it keeps those areas looking matte, especially when I combine this with a loose setting powder. I like to just take a foundation brush and apply it that way. This brush is from Rare Beauty. Okay, and here's how my skin is looking after applying just a thin layer. You can see I have some coverage. My skin is matte, but it doesn't look dry. Right now I'm going to go in with the Serum Skin Tint. I have the shade 9. I'm going to just put a little bit on the back of my hand and then put it directly onto the skin. I think this is honestly a really good match for me. Now the texture of this skin tint is incredibly watery, and honestly some of my favorite skin tints have this type of texture. It's very thin, very skin-like, but still gives a good amount of coverage. Taking that same brush and just working that into the skin. All right, and this is how my base is looking so far. I'm honestly really happy with it, even without a concealer. I'm going to go in with the concealer though. This is the shade 10. I think it might honestly be a little bit light. Actually, I think that's perfect. It brightens the under eye, and then I will just use it over a couple of my dark spots. And then I'm just going to use this smaller brush from Rephr and blend it in. This feels very lightweight, a little bit less liquidy than the skin tint. And here's how my skin looks after using just a little bit of a loose powder. I use the Huda Easy Bake in the shade Kunafa. I don't think that Danessa Myricks has a loose setting powder, but I could be wrong. All right, and the next product I'm going to go in with is this matte color fix. And, you know, the color fix has been around for a while. It's honestly one of the first products that drew me to the brand. It can be, you know, a little bit of a process to use because you have to either apply it to the back of your hand or to a mixing palette. But I love just how much you can do with these. You can apply them to any area of your face, your eyes, your cheeks, your lips, and they are completely budge proof. So I feel like I can't do a full face of Danessa Myricks and not talk about color fix. That is just the easiest one and done eye look. But of course I'm me, so I am going to apply a shimmer on top of that. And again, this product is not going to be for everyone. There are people that are not going to want to futz around with color fix because, like I said, you do have to be okay with getting a little bit messy. But honestly, like I said, I'm never disappointed with the result after I use these. And by the way, this is the shade Oasis. All right, and here is what the eye look is looking like with just that one color fix Oasis. I feel like you could just leave it right here. But I want to use a shimmer from this mini Freedom palette. This is the pastel palette that came out last year. And by the way, this is still available. So in case you're curious, it was listed as limited edition, but it's still in stock. I want to take the multi-chrome from here, and this is the shade Galaxy Crush. It's the most shifty shade in the palette, and we're just going to put that all over the lid. And of course, because this shade has some special chromes in it and a bit more color, this is my favorite mini palette between the two. There's a neutral palette, which I think is great for people that don't have the big Lightworks palette from last year and who like everyday neutrals. I love that. And as my highlighting shade, I'm going to use one of the Twin Flames. I feel like this is actually a bit of a polarizing product. I have people tell me they love it, and then people that tell me not so much, but I think this is a great highlighting product. I want to use this on the inner corner, and when I've seen other people wear these, I'm like, what's on your eyes? But this is a beautiful fiery toned iridescent. I'm just going to put some on the brow bone and blend it in with my fingertip. Hopefully that's picking up on camera. All right, and here is my completed eye look. I wanted to keep it simple, but still play with some bright, fresh, springy colors. I'm gonna go in with my blush now, and I'm gonna use this beautiful shade called Dancing Queen. And these cream blushes also have Upsolite. So they are all about oil control. I have to go in with a light hand because this is incredibly pigmented, but you see how this is beautiful kind of purple berry toned blush. It has a natural finish on the skin. It does not make me look dewier in any kind of way, and it has a really nice wear as well. So this is definitely a cream blush formula I feel is very approachable and very user-friendly. You can see how I'm able to build it up pigmentation wise with my fingertip without going overboard. All right, and here is what my blush is looking like. Now I'm going to go in with a highlighter because of course I have to use a highlighter. I want to use one of these low light formula highlighters, and what I really love about these is that these are sparkle free highlighters. These are the type of highlighters I also feel are very approachable for people who are intimidated of highlighters, and especially intimidated of cream highlighters, because they don't have sparkle, they don't emphasize texture. You can apply them under your base, and over your blush. Of course, that is kind of what I prefer, is over the blush, but you can see that it just gives me a little bit of a sheen without looking dewy or emphasizing texture in any kind of way. And I don't think I mentioned it, but this is the shade Low Key. I felt like this shade in particular was perfect for going for a spring look. All right, added some mascara and a lip balm, and I'm gonna finish off my look with this setting spray, which I said is one of my favorite products from 2025 because of the way that it just sets my makeup in place and keeps my skin matte. All right, and this is my finished look. I'm gonna be back after many hours so we can do a wear test and see how everything wore and close up with some wrap-up thoughts. All right, I have had this makeup on for about 9 hours at this point, so I feel like I've really had the chance to put it to the test. And it's the first time that I've done kind of an official on-camera wear test with all Danessa Myricks Beauty. So really excited to do this because I'm super happy with how everything is worn. The first thing I have to make note of is my base. I feel like my base still looks so good. I feel like if I had applied my makeup 1 or 2 hours ago, I would be happy with how this looks. But I've had this makeup on for 9 hours and my T-zone still looks really good. The amount of coverage I have looks really, really good. And then all the makeup that I've put on top of my base looks really good. And for my base, obviously it's a combination of everything working well together, but I think the standout hero products, if I had to pinpoint 1 or 2, is I think it's this water powder serum combined with the balm powder. And I know a lot of people use just the universal one. I think, it has a lot of the same effects. I just like the fact that I can also get some coverage, especially if I'm pairing this with a skin tint, because it just gives it a little bit extra coverage. So again, I'm the shade 5. So it's the combination of this water powder serum, this blurring balm powder, and then this setting spray. And again, the setting spray is called the Liquid Blurring Balm. So I've heard a lot that this goes in and out of stock. I don't know if it's currently in stock. If you have a chance of trying it, I do recommend it. I've had a really good experience with it, and I think, it's a combination of those things. That being said, I am very happy with the way that the skin tint and the concealer have worn, and this was a nice reminder for me because I feel like this is going to enter my everyday makeup rotation. I have been sleeping a little bit on this skin tint, and that's a shame because it is really nice. I think I enjoyed this quite a bit more than their foundation. So I do want to say if I could recommend something, from their foundation line, I would say the skin tint. So I am the shade 9. And then the concealer that I used on camera today is the shade 10, just in case I didn't mention that before. Okay, and some of the other products I have on, I do want to make note of as well. The blue color fix that I have on my eyes looks exactly the way that it did when I applied it. Budge proof, no creasing whatsoever. And then all I did was put a shimmer from the mini pastel palette on top. And that looks also like exactly the way it did when I applied it. Really, really happy with how that performed, and I can recommend that mini palette with confidence. The only thing, of course, is that it is a little bit on the pricey side at $48, but of course with the sale going on right now, you can get a little bit of money off in case it's been on your wish list. I didn't try on the mini Freedom palette, the neutral one, in this video, but I did a short where I did eye swatches of the shimmers and did a couple of looks. So I am going to link that in the cards in case it's helpful for you, because I think the quality of that is also really nice. It's just going to be something more for people who are looking for a day-to-day neutral palette. I did already talk about what I enjoy about these two cheek products. That is the cream blush, and I have the shade Dancing Queen, and then the Lowlighter. I think this is an incredibly approachable formula for people, especially who are intimidated of a highlighter, but still, it really packs a punch, and I think you can still see that it's given my cheek a really nice glow, even at the 9-hour mark. The main product that I really want to talk about in this video, but I didn't try it on, are these Color Fix Sticks Duos. And these came out about a year ago at this point. They come in duos that are magnetic, and each one has 2 shades. There's one that's a metallic, and then there's one that's a foil. You know, I have said that these are one of my top sparkly eyeshadow formulas at Sephora, and I still stand by that about a year later at this point. So I do have a whole video on the Color Fix sticks, so I'm going to link that in the cards as well, because I still highly recommend these. The main downside of them is that you do have to buy them in duos and you have to like both. However, if you do like both shades, I think that these are well worth it in terms of the quality and the performance. So definitely highly recommend them. I do hope that they decide to make these in some more colorful shades as well, because I feel like a lot of us would, who especially us color lovers, would just love to see these in more expanded shades, because there's a lot of neutral shades and there's really just a handful of colorful shades. All right, and my hope is ultimately that this video has done a good job of showing you why Danessa Myricks Beauty really is one of the best brands at Sephora, because honestly, I think it's so hard to do color so well along with such a solid base routine. I think that is a formidable combination. And not to mention that Danessa Myricks Beauty is definitely one of the most inclusive brands at Sephora as well, and I love them for that. I would love to hear in the comments if you've tried anything from the brand that you love, or if you have anything on your wish list, or what your experience has been in trying the products in general. As always, I really hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.